But for now, let us take a look at that statement. Yes, I have it. Of course it was Lukashenko. Of course. Of course. Of course. Who else would it have been if not our friend? Of course. We're gonna read it and we're gonna talk about it briefly. Because as we know, as I've said before, the European Union has frozen the accession process of Georgia when it comes to, well, becoming a member of the European Union. Why? Well, because Georgia has been on a path away from democracy, away from the European Union alleged values, and towards the so-called Ruski Mir, the Russian world, away from the degeneracy of the LGBT, away from the degeneracy of war, even though Russia is the warmongering party that attacked Ukraine, so that argument makes no sense. But the general argument is actually that should Georgia align itself with the European Union, it will end up like Ukraine. It will embroil itself in a war with Russia, and it will end up like Ukraine. That is basically the argument that is being used by the Georgian Dream Party. It has been a big part of its campaign, parliamentary campaign. So, and of course, the degeneracy of the LGBT. That is a huge factor that separates the horribleness of the European Union from the splendor of the Ruski Mir. That's of course. Who'd want to be a gay? Says me with my whatever. Let's not get into it. Lukashenko, because of course we might talk about it later. Georgia has implemented its own version of an anti-LGBT law. It went, I must admit, I will concede, I will say that that particular bill has went straight under my radar. I've been really focused on the foreign agent bill, the whole you have to register as a foreign agent if you received any funding from abroad or whatever, the really stifling foreign agent law, and the anti-LGBT law that Georgia has adopted along the way has completely eluded me. I've completely missed it. So we will talk about it today briefly because I think it's worth it, because I think it's part of every country's journey towards the Ruski Mir. But we have a statement by the leader of Belarus, Lukashenko, depending on who is talking. I heard both pronunciations. I heard both ways to pronounce that name. Has said, and we're gonna quickly jump to Twitter to see the statement. Lukashenko commented on the laws of foreign agents and ban all LGBT propaganda. That's the law that we're actually focusing on right now. It's the LGBT propaganda law, adopted in Georgia at a conference on Eurasian security in Minsk. We were worried for the Georgians. Listen, to impose some kind of LGBT on Georgians who in the Soviet Union were the toughest guys, men. Are they imposing some kind of LGBT on them? Georgians won't accept it. They've been looking at women their whole lives since they were in diapers. They're forcing LGBT on them. LGBT in the Caucasus? No way. No way, Lukashenko said. He also noted that the Georgian authorities adopted a law on foreign influence identical to the Russian law on foreign agents to achieve transparency in the country, while the West is destroying the country for this. So we're gonna forget about the whole foreign agent thing, transparency thing. We're gonna zoom in on the LGBT thing a little bit for now because I find it the most amusing. I find it the most amusing thing that according to the doctrine of the Ruski Mir, the doctrine of the Russian world, the LGBT is actually not something that occurs just naturally. It's not like some people are born heterosexual, some people are born cis, and some people are born gay, some people simply are trans. No, it's not like that. It's just there are no gays in Georgia. There's no Warren Basingse, basically. Like, you have to import the gayness. You have to import the fad. You have to impose the gayness on a country. Then the gays start appear once you impose it with your permittance of the LGBT. This is why countries like Georgia have to have to pass bills, have to pass laws like the anti-LGBT propaganda bills, so it can protect itself from the flood of degeneracy coming from the European Union and join the traditional values Ruski Mir, which of course, as I've said before, in Russia, basically the LGBT has been declared to be a form of extremism. It is a very interesting way to look at it. I must admit that being gay is not something that people are born with. It's not something that just occurs all over the world, no matter what culture, no matter what form of governance, no matter what system, no matter what value system a region holds. Being born gay or no is sort of, how should I put it, agnostic to that. You know? It's not a matter of what values a region adopts. People will be born gay. I'm sorry to say. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. But this sort of rhetoric does not seem to accept that fact. It seems to see any form of nonconformity as something that comes from the outside, and invades a country. Like Georgians, who in the Soviet Union were the toughest guys. I'm gonna even ignore the fact that a man can be gay and be a pretty tough guy, but I don't even know what that means, since gay men can be pretty tough guys. That's also a thing that I'm pretty surprised that I have to say. I'm pretty surprised that I have to say it out loud, that being gay and being a tough guy are not things that are mutually exclusive. The toughest guys, men, they've been looking at women their whole lives since they were in diapers, which I don't even do I even want to unpack the level of creepiness that lurks underneath that statement, that Georgians have been looking at women since they were in diapers in that way regarding sexuality. This is going in a very strange direction really quickly. Like this is weird. I think we all understand why this statement is weird. I don't think we have to do a deep dive into why saying that Georgian manly men were looking at women since they were in diapers. So yeah, that's basically the funny bit that I really wanted to share at the start of this stream. Lukashenko saying that there are no gays in the Caucasus, there are no gays in the region, and the only way gays would appear is if the European Union would import them, and basically Georgian are the toughest men who've been looking at women since they were in diapers. There you go. Damn. What a start, huh?